Anyhow.
Like it's a cat or something.
Yeah. Spawning over in the bottom left of Oxide to start this off, representing the Shopify Rebellion, it is Lambo.
On top right-hand side of the map, it is the red Terran player, Big Gabriel. For mouse sports.
I think if Big Gabe grew a beard, he would be too much of a Chad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine it. Can he grow a beard? It seems like not yet. Not yet.
I mean, I think he can. It's just because now he's so huge, he can buy an even larger razor that cuts even closer to the skin. You know what I mean? Like he's it's that kind of effect that we have here.
Have
so this is
a kitchen knife or something.
Or a carver, yeah. Oh, okay. So this is their group standing so far. And I mean, it is really close between these top three. Lambo did lose to MaxPax. I do believe MaxPax lost to... In fact, who did MaxPax lose to in this group?
Did MaxPax lose to Lambo? I'm trying to think here. I think that Lambo beat MaxPax, actually.
Lambo beat MaxPax. Aha. And Lambo lost to Vanya. I think that's how it went down, which a little bit of a surprise there. Vanya absolutely showcasing that he's very good in this group. So that top four might stay roughly the same, but the order might switch up. Talking about this game, though, we do have HeRoMaRinE opting for a very, very normal opening here. It is the Barracks Gas Expo build. Just scouting with the SCV that builds the barracks just to make sure that he's not up against the pool first. I really like this change of Terrans, by the way, with that scout early on, because for a long time we were skipping it. And those pool first games could really catch Terran off guard.
Yeah, it's for sure good to mix in, and Lambo is the kind of player that will mix things in, especially if HeRoMaRinE, if he thinks that HeRoMaRinE is unlikely to do that scout. I'm not sure how often he does it. If he does it often enough, then again, like, you know, I would like for HeRoMaRinE to just cut it, anticipating that Lambo's not going to go for a pool first against him, but these two obviously know each other very well, so probably trying to anticipate and outsmart each other from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. HeRoMaRinE being very annoying with this Reaper, just staying for as long as possible, and even this, just delaying that first creep tumor. Like that Queen with 35 energy may not seem like a huge deal, but any delay you can get is actually a big deal, and HeRoMaRinE is going for the second gas, so it's not the 3cc variant from him. This is a little surprising, I'd say.
Yeah, most definitely. And like you said, like all of these little details tend to stack up, and they really show the quality of a player, right? Like you stack up 10 of those and it makes a bigger detail and so on and so forth. 2 gas already, like you were pointing out. Starport. What do you think this is? Like maybe some Hellion or Hellbat even push, perhaps with a medevac? Marine Hellbat push?
Yeah, there's a few things you can do with it, right? Because if this was anybody else, I'd be like, okay, this is looking like it could be a Hellbat push. But because it's HeRoMaRinE, I think he's going to do that medevac with Marines in, where you just run around, try and get some Overlords, build a few Hellions for safety. And it allows you to do quite a few things on the map and outspeed your opponent, outpace them. Kind of works like a Viking in a way as well, but also gives you a little bit of firepower.
Okay, and the Hellions are there just to guard against the Lynx, I guess, in non-Hellbat form, so it's a little bit less committal. Will allow HeRoMaRinE, of course, in not investing in that armory to potentially go for a faster CC to follow things up. And Overlord will go down on the side of Lambo. He will gather some information. And yeah, 3 Hellions already out on the map, Benny, and the Marines are to follow.
Yeah, it's a really cool build, this one, because I've seen like a few Terrans do it. One of the weaknesses is if you don't see the Zerg coming to your base, which is why you see these Hellions kind of finding out what's going on the right avenue, just making sure what's going on there. That happened with Vanya, by the way. Vanya just kind of all-ended him and killed him when he did this.
Yeah.
Cloak Banshee follow-up. I like what they're both doing here. This is a very cool TVZ opening.
Yeah, most definitely. And oh, the Marines already picking off 3 drones. That's got to feel pretty good. The Hellions on the other side, surprising to me. So they're going to look maybe for where the Queens are. And if the Queens show up at the front, maybe he's willing, HeRoMaRinE, that is, to go into the natural base. For now, the Hellions haven't done too much. But these Marines, I mean, already finding good value. Oh,
yeah, definitely. Like, again, the Hellions, it's just like making sure nothing crosses the map to his side. Maybe getting some creep kills as well. It's just a nice, safe build where you can get everything going. And soon, it's going to be attacking in 3 squads. Like, the Hellions, maybe their job as well is to sit on top of these rocks and just make sure. But when the Cloak Banshees get involved, then it's actually quite rough. But Lambo's read it fairly well, man. Like 3 spores going up as well.
Yeah, a little bit preemptive, but it's going to work out well for him. Good creep spread as well. I mean, he lost 3 drones, but at the end of the day, that's not too much. Like, what worries me a little bit is how little of an investment this was for Big Gabe, right? He already has his 3rd CC already situated. He's already making those upgrades very fast, much faster than Lambo by the looks of it, who doesn't even have Evo chambers on the way yet.
Maybe he's going to go for a Spire this game. Because, I mean, saving up that much gas, it's usually kind of indicative. Like, I know a lot of Zergs get the speed Banes first, and they're like, all right. That's kind of... Because Banes don't really care about upgrades too much, at least not attack upgrades. But yeah, I'm curious what Lambo's going to do here, because Oxide is a rough map for Zerg when it comes to playing against Terran. Maybe it is just fooling Bane, but you need those Evos soon.
Oh, yeah, as soon as he spots this 3rd, it feels like landing. He drops the Evos. So he's going to be pretty far behind in terms of upgrades. And yeah, like you were talking earlier about like if HeRoMaRinE plays like he played against Vanya or so on and so forth, but I feel like Lambo's not the type of player that can punish as hard as Vanya can. Obviously, he's capable of it, and he has some openings that will allow for that, very well planned, but he's not, it doesn't feel as reactive, and he feels much more comfortable in the mid to late game, where I feel like HeRoMaRinE feels most comfortable as well. So already worried a little bit for him. Things have been going pretty well for Big Gabe here, picking off an extra 4 drones, almost a 5th going down there to the Banshees.
Yeah, and this is like a full scout at the base as well. Like, HeRoMaRinE seeing that those Evos only just finished up, and these Banshees are getting value, man. Like,
counter
that's a good counter. That's a good counter. There's no units here. Oh, there's Banelings were late.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a little bit of a timing issue. Perhaps Lambo, anticipating that his speed was about to finish, kind of just rallies it through, not to pay attention to everything at once and pay attention at the front instead to the Banshees. But yeah, I mean, if they were a little bit better timed, those Banelings could have found wonderful connections, or if the speed was done at least, which is what I think Lambo was anticipating would happen. Still, these Banshees will be repelled. The game is still wide open, Benny, but upgrade lead definitely in the favor of Big Gabe for now, though he hasn't started 2-2.
Don't have an armory either. And the way I'm seeing his gas being used here, Cats, like he's going 2 Liberators at a time with tanks. This is kind of like that Cure special, where it's like, you just go all in off 3 bases. And the Liberators, the only thing that shoots up is the Queens, which is going to be 9 on the field, but heavily upgraded bio with it. It's going to be really hard to stop.
Yeah, at the same time, Lambo already did a great job in breaking those rocks, so that's going to help him out. The Liberators, of course, will benefit from chokes and the like. So limited space for HeRoMaRinE. And I don't know that I like this approach in this particular game for Big Gabe, just because he had that upgrade lead. Now, he has an upgrade window, but he's not quite hitting it. So Lambo will actually catch up in terms of upgrades, where HeRoMaRinE was basically 1 full upgrade ahead. And that's an advantage that he could have kept throughout the game. Instead, he's kind of decided to make something happen right here, right now. And, you know, if he doesn't, Lambo's completely back in this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But Lambo does have to deal with this army right here, right now. And it's a massive counter. He is in the base.
Yeah, lovely job from Lambo, also stopping at that supply depot to make sure the Banelings will get inside the natural base of HeRoMaRinE. A lot of Banelings, you don't want to push into that on creep if you're HeRoMaRinE, but he kind of has to, because Lambo is doing devastating damage, and this is looking pretty good for Lambo. HeRoMaRinE trying to kite back to his 2 tanks and his 2 Liberators, but Lambo's not going to bite. Lambo just needs to buy time. He just needs to chill for a little bit. When HeRoMaRinE overextends off of creep, that's when he has to go. And otherwise, he has already done all the damage that he ever wanted to do.
You know what? This is us being I think this is looking really good for HeRoMaRinE, man. Like,
really?
Yeah, I don't think there's a queen on the field. Like, I don't think he can deal with these Liberators at all. So they're just free damage, and Lambo kind of knows this. And look at them. They're just reigning supreme.
All right. Yeah, the tanks do take down a lot of those Banelings and the Marines. Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, there's nothing to deal with these Liberators. Now all of the Banelings of Lambo have gone down for the most part. The Spore is trying to be the hero that Lambo needs. And yeah, I mean, if Lambo can stabilize, he will be 30 drones ahead, which is fantastic. But can he ever stabilize? You're right. These Liberators have been such a nuisance. Now HeRoMaRinE actually splitting them. This might cause an opportunity for Lambo to take some of them down. One will get targeted at the natural base, but that just opens up the 3rd.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a Banshee here as well. This is kind of like Sky Terran winning the game in a weird way. The Banelings get some okay-ish connections.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, that was cool. And Lambo shakes his head, a bit of a facepalm there. But yeah, what a cool push by HeRoMaRinE. That actually, I didn't expect him to be doing, like this Liberator stuff. But he really found a lot of success at Asus ROG against Reina with that as well. Maybe it's just something that he really enjoys and feels that he can hit these cute little timings with.
Yeah, I never thought 2 Liberators would really anchor enough for that army to actually end up taking the game, but then the next 2 show up and completely uncontested. You're completely right, Benny. That was pretty impressive from HeRoMaRinE. Is this his build order? Do you know, or is this you mentioned Cure maybe?
Yeah, Cure definitely. Like, I remember watching Cure. It was on like 2K Atmosphere against Serral, and he did this kind of thing, and it was really hard to hold. Like, you really come out swinging with a lot of units, and if you're doing the Ling Bane stuff, like a lot of Zergs have found that to be very good defensively. Like, it's not actually that greedy. It's actually very good for getting creep spread out, being safe and stuff. But one big weakness is if you know your opponent's going to do that and you get Liberators, like just 4, it can be so damn problematic for you.
Yeah, and HeRoMaRinE also knew what area to exploit. I mean, down that ramp, that's when the Queens are going to have the most trouble kind of getting to those Liberators. So just carving himself a spot outside of creep to siege. Also, the tank shots, I feel like they did, I don't know if it's fair to say more than they should have, but they got amazing shots onto those Banelings, right? Because ultimately, from my perspective, Lambo never needed to engage that until the Liberators and the tanks were very far forward. But eventually he goes for it, and HeRoMaRinE just picks up all of the bio and lets the Liberators and the tanks kind of deal with most of the Banelings. And then that was all said and done. I feel like if you're Lambo, though, there's no possibility, you think, to just sit back and kind of just wait it out for a little bit longer, make more queens, and, you know, I feel like he did so much damage already on the other side.
I think there is, and also, like, so I don't know exactly what happened in HeRoMaRinE's base, because it felt like that was a massive army that didn't need to die in the base. Like, after it cleared out the natural and the third, which I think it did, I think then maybe come home and get ready to wrap around that army, because one thing about Marines is obviously if they get wrapped around and Banelings blow them up, it's really rough. But it's tough when you play against HeRoMaRinE doing something that you didn't really expect him to do, which, you know, I watch his stream all the time, man. I'm one of his biggest fans, and I didn't expect that from him. So I'm not sure Lambo did either. But we're getting on into it. 2K Atmosphere, second map, spawning in the top right. It is Lambo.
And the man with the new builds, popping them up in this very important match. It is HeRoMaRinE.
You know, also, if you see the guy with Liberators, maybe it could be worth it to have, like, just build just a couple of spores or something, like in your natural, just ready to pounce them out in the fight. Yeah. Just maybe, but this is me theory crafting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're out of tools, you're not, you know, if they show up and you don't have anything, then spores have to be better than, oh, let's make a Spire right now, right? Like, that's gonna be a little while for sure. I mean, something's better than nothing, no doubt. And yeah, I mean, that was very impressive. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. Because even if Lambo pulls back with his circling Baneling from the base of HeRoMaRinE and he gets the wraparound that you're talking about, I mean, HeRoMaRinE seemed to just be completely willing to just pick up everything. And his Liberator positioning was good enough that it didn't seem like the Queens, however many were left, could really have an easy time finding an angle to just pick off the Liberators down the ramp, right? So, yeah, I think maybe the answer was still just to kind of like not ever attack, but then third is in jeopardy. I don't know, a very difficult situation, and props to HeRoMaRinE for making it work as subtly as it did.
Yeah, it could have been, like, it could have turned into one of those real weird games, right? Where Lambo gives up, like, it's natural and, like, the right base, then he expands up the left side of the map. And, I mean, HeRoMaRinE was wounded, man. He was down to, like, 30, 40 SCVs that game. So, yeah, it was recoverable. It's just, you never know what kind of situation HeRoMaRiNE's in. Because if you think 2-2's also finishing for the Terran at some point, which we know it,
I see.
We don't know what kind of situation Lambo was thinking about, but
yeah,
getting into this
you're
game,
right. He might have felt more pressure. He might have felt like he was under more pressure than he was. Maybe not evaluating or as well as he could have how much damage he did or how much HeRoMaRinE was committing to this. Because it is very committed of an attack for HeRoMaRinE as well, right? It's not very HeRoMaRinE-ish. You expect Big Gabe will be getting his 2-2. You expect he'll be getting ready to secure his 3 bases, take a 4th, and continue on to the later game.
Okay, this game, it is a mix-up from HeRoMaRinE again. He will be going for reactive Hellions this time, by the looks of it. He's also going for the 2 gas again, not the 3 CC builds from him thus far. And if you asked me what Big Gabe was going to do, I'd be like, cats, it's the 3 CC Cloak Banshee or like the 2-on-1 follow-up. But here, neither one at all. Really choosing to be a little bit more aggressive and harassy and stuff. And I like that from him. I like the fact that he wants to be in his opponent's face.
Yeah, on the flip side for Lambo, he is getting that Overlord speed this time around. So actually on the lookout for this kind of build order, on the lookout for something surprising, something offbeat. And hopefully he gets the right read as far as this build order goes, because I definitely want to see a game 3 between these two. The Overlord now getting ready to go in and scout everything as the speed will finish. There will be a Viking out for Big Gabe, who will also spot that there's Overlord speed. Not that he can do much about it.
I've got a feeling that the way that HeRoMaRiNE's playing, he kind of wants to do some, like, all-in, you know? I've got this weird feeling. Okay, with the Liberator, probably not. But yeah, given the fact that Lambo has scouted everything, we're probably just going to see a very normal opening from the both of them. This Viking will try and hunt down some Overlords. Liberator follow-up, going up to 8 Hellions as well. This is going to get feisty real fast.
5 Overlords at once at 420 from Lambo. That seems like an early time to go for that many Overlords. I don't see a Roach Warren on the way or anything like that, right? So I'm not sure what that's about. If there was a Roach Warren on the way, I'd be like, okay, well, he's getting ready to kind of just dump everything into Roaches, but not the case here. So maybe anticipating losing some Overlords, but given the investment also into the Overlord speed earlier, I would have thought that this is already by default looking good for Lambo. And yeah, that feels like a little bit of a blunder to me.
It might be. And, you know, when you're ready to be under a lot of pressure from this kind of build where it's double gas, maybe it's just like, all right, fix that now, make sure my queens are in the right position, my lings are in the right positions, which Lambo's at least checking the boxes on that front. So might have been one of those priority things.
Yeah, great job by Big Gabe here. Lambo already has spores for Liberator, so he much anticipates what the follow-up might be. Big Gabe with the rallied Liberator already anticipating the potential location of one of those spores. Is there a spore in the main already being relocated actually to answer the Liberator? So Lambo is paying attention to that at the same time as we see on screen at the third. HeRoMaRiNE is trying to carve his way into the mineral line. Not going to find it, but the Liberator will siege. Kill one drone and force the spore to relocate one more time. This queen could go down, but the transfuse is timely. And for now, Lambo repels.
This is a great map for this kind of stuff with the Liberator, by the way. Oh. What happened?
It was I thought it was bait. I mean, the queens pushed them forward, but the links were in position. The Hellions tried to do something, but not quite. The Liberator is trying to still find space to do something. HeRoMaRiNE has been very good at kind of keeping tabs on all of his units on all fronts.
You scared me, Cats. I was sat here watching. I was very interested. I heard that it was like a horror movie with a jump scare, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the queens pushed them forward, you know, but I think it was bait from Lambo. I think he wanted for the Hellions to actually move on forward onto the Link Bane. So he shows the queens pushing on forward towards the third base, right? Like outside of the third base. And then Big Gabe kind of pushed with his Hellions. So I thought, oh man, that mineral line is exposed, but the links were there.
Yeah. I get you. But Big Gabe's choice of builds here, like going for the Liberator on this map in particular, and he's actually ran it away to send it home to repair it, which I love that move. Like suiciding it for barely anything, not worth it. By the way, you're right. Lambo has been making a lot of Overlords all at once, because here, 112 out of 160 supply. Definitely pushing it a little bit, but looking to be aggressive with some hidden Banelings here. That could definitely do something.
Yeah, this time around, Lambo is going for Hydras as well, getting even the Hydralisk speed to start things off. Not rushing straight away to those Lurkers, but I don't know that Hydras are going to be the unit that he wants against this type of push by Big Gabe with the tanks already situated behind those rocks. It's going to be difficult for Lambo to trade efficiently. These Banelings are going to find just a couple of connections onto the Hellions, but for the most part, they go down before they can kill too many workers. At the same time, this Viking is a complete hero, but Lambo will overwhelm the push at the third. So things looking all right for Lambo, but this Viking's doing too much, Ben.
7 kills, and I would imagine that's like 3 Overlords and, well, might be 2 Overlords, but 5 drones going down as well, kind of randomly. But Lambo, he is about to hit 1-1. He is doing decent on the creep spread front if he can reapply it over here, and he has quite a bit of money to spend. And pushing back this, like he's not down and out by any means, right? So like we're looking at this and it's like, wow, drones in the army.
Nope. Yeah,
I just wanted to be part of the team.
Yeah, and I was talking about how I don't know how the Hydras are going to work out against this type of composition from HeRoMaRiNE, but HeRoMaRiNE actually getting mine upgrades, and Hydras are gonna fare pretty well against Widow Mines. So maybe HeRoMaRinE not anticipating that Lambo is going for this or not quite scouting it yet. There comes the Liberator trying to look for some more glorious drones, but won't find it this time around.
Lambo has to be careful about this drop because I don't think he has any idea about it at the top of the map. That being said, he is moving back, so nice prep by him. Wants to prioritize getting this creep spread out safely and denying the drops and what have you. But yeah, this is a super textbook TVZ right now, and it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Hydras these days that often, to be honest, but I kind of like it, and he seems to be adapting a little bit to what HeRoMaRinE maybe was doing or has shown that he can do, like having a little bit more anti-air doesn't hurt. The map is pretty big. There's a lot of open space, so having extra units on the ground doesn't hurt too much. Lambo this time around is not trailing behind in upgrades. He is a little bit behind, but not by a significant margin. Burrow's almost about to be done as well, but he won't find the upgrade before he can kind of deny the 4th base or delay the 4th base with it. So I hope to see some Baneling Mines.
Yeah, and so Gabe, upon seeing what happened there with the Hydras, he's like, you know what, switching into 2 factory tank, that's a big deal. Prioritizing the armor upgrades as well probably implies that he might go for Liberators
later. There's a Baneling Mine. The Marines were moving towards a Baneling Mine, but we'll think better of it this time around. But yeah, I believe that's 2 Banelings right there. And HeRoMaRinE teasing us there with his movement. Instead, he's going to pick up in those 2 medevacs and move across the map or the outskirts of the map towards Lambo as he holds this watchtower at the front. Lambo breaking rocks for the time being. I love to see that. He has the swarmier army here.
Yeah, the fast, being able to move faster around the map definitely helps him, and more avenues for that creep spread. That's a big run by. HeRoMaRinE with quite a decent defense ready, though, and yeah, they're just going at it on 2 sides of the map here.
Yeah, good wall there. The Hydras are not trailing too far behind here. One of the tanks will get picked up at the front, so Lambo trying to do something, but with the 2nd tank anchoring, he's going to think better of it. There's no creep anywhere close, which is a little bit dangerous, right? Like, you want your creep spread to be a little bit further forward to make this type of move with the Hydras and avoid you being punished on the retreat, but HeRoMaRinE instead is going to try to look for his own punishment on the other side of the map, but Lynx, the fastest unit in the game, will answer readily.
Yeah, this is cool, though. By the way, I just want to commend Big Gabe. As soon as his +2 finished, it was like, boom, +3 started. But I think they're both getting into their comfort zone, which is so exciting. Like, Lambo's hit tier 3s on the hive. He's getting seismic spines and stuff, finishing the 2-2 as well. And they're both, like, these guys are both very comfortable macro gamers. So going at it, Ghost Academy on the way, 3rd factory as well. Love it, cats.
Yeah, how do you feel the Ghost Academy is timing-wise? Is it fine? Because it feels like he's just doing it as a reaction to the lurkers. Did he spot those lurkers too late, or did he already have a hunch? Well, obviously, Lambo opened Hydras. But yeah, is the Ghost Academy early enough? Is it fine?
I actually think it is. I say that mainly because as long as these upgrades aren't super ready yet, which 2nd one's on the way, if he can get 4 ghosts at a time, which he can, I think, he's making Marauders. He's actually just going pedal to the metal.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Actually, he already has a good number of Marauders. 1 medevac will get picked off there, and that might provide Lambo entry into that base from HeRoMaRinE. He will at least siege it from far away. At the same time, he's trying to clean this up, this Marauder force with Ling Bane. So, I mean, matchup-wise, unit-wise, matchups are pretty good for Lambo here, but HeRoMaRinE, regardless, will snipe out one of the outer bases of Lambo as Lambo tries to siege the planetary fortress, but we'll think better of it.
Yeah, and this is a very small squad. Like, these lurkers, they're getting surrounded, and Lambo has a bank, by the way, a bank and a half, and that poor little lurker joining the fight as well. I think Lambo might be getting a bit carried away. Yeah,
it seems like it. Those things, unfortunately for Lambo at this point, are good enough to evacuate very fast. The lurkers are trying to do what they can, but I mean, there's not really anything that threatens the army of HeRoMaRinE too much, right? Like, no Banelings, not enough lurkers to really burst through that ball of bio with medevacs healing them. So, yeah, gotta chill, recompose himself, respread his creep, retake those bases. And that is what we're gonna see from the German circuit.
Yeah, he's up to 2k gas, which in most situations I'd be like, all right, how's he gonna spend it? But 13 Hydras on the way. Obviously, Hydras can turn very quickly into lurkers. The big upgrades are done as well. It's going to get really scary for HeRoMaRinE trying to hold the next attack off from Lambo.
Definitely. 3 Vipers on the way as well. That's going to help out against siege tanks. And going to help a bunch potentially with parasitic bombs onto medevacs. Let's see.
How do you feel about Big Gabe going for armor upgrades on the tanks instead of the attack upgrade, by the way?
I don't know. It seems like attack should be a lot better. I feel like if you get on top of tanks, they die. So I'm not sure. Walk me through that.
I'm also a bit unsure. Like, the tanks will one-shot the Banelings and the Zerglings regardless of the upgrades, which is maybe what they're hitting most of the time. But yeah, if they're going up against the Lurkers, obviously, like, the attack is better, I feel. But these tanks are a little bit sturdier than normal, I suppose, which is helping HeRoMaRiNE out. But Lambo, he's doing good at just eliminating the tank count. Down to 2 is HeRoMaRiNE.
Yeah. For me, the way that I tend to think of tanks is like once the buffer is gone, once the units in the front are gone, then they kind of just die, right? So they're the last unit that the Zerg is going to be clearing out. So, you know, if you clear them out a second later or half a second later, it's probably not going to make that big of a difference. But maybe HeRoMaRiNE, maybe we can ask him in the interview.
You think he's going to win?
If he wins. I mean, I have questions for either player. So, yeah, and I don't even know that we're doing an interview. But here comes the Vipers. And they are gonna do wonderfully here against these tanks and against the Bio as well, pushing it further onto Lurkers. But there's not many reinforcements here on the side of Lambo, and the Vipers have spent their energy, so there is no possibility for abduction to those 2 remaining tanks. Now with Liberators as well, Big Gabe feels a little bit more confident pushing on forward, and those Liberators sieging is gonna mean that Lambo has to retreat and maybe hug that watchtower. The crit threat has not been that great this game, to HeRoMaRiNE's credit as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing a good job harassing and stuff all the time. These Lurkers, well, they have to get out of there pretty soon, I'd imagine. These tanks doing a good job. The Liberators also dealing with the Hydras to some extent, actually taking them all out. No more anti-air, but Lambo does fight this back. And wow, the last... Is he going to parasitic bomb it, you think? Just like, screw you.
Well, yeah. Yeah, a lot of those Hydras kind of walked into that liberation zone. Like 3 of them could have just kind of gone to the side, but of course it's impossible to pay attention to every little detail. Lambo trying now to prevent and fight for control of this base, and actually kind of luckily for him, ghosts have not been produced, and instead a lot of tanks, which kind of is really good for the composition that he has, given that he did make those 3 Vipers preemptively. So HeRoMaRiNE playing into his hand a little bit.
Yeah, you asked me about ghosts earlier, and I think that would have been a good time to start adding them. Now HeRoMaRiNE's like, oh yeah, I probably should get some ghosts. I was a bit surprised about how he went about this game. And honestly, his income is running dry, man. Like, even though his SV count is good, look at his natural, and his main's completely gone. He's actually flying his orbital, which, yeah, that shows how strapped for cash he's been.
Yeah, and that's what I really love about what Lambo's doing to control this area of the map. He thinks that this is where Big Gabe wants to expand next. I would love to see a circling on that southern base location that HeRoMaRiNE actually has an available orbital that he could float over there. That one right there. But yeah, maybe he wants a planetary fortress or something there instead. At the same time, the Liberator on the top left-hand side is finding some damage as well, and it will reveal this position to Lambo. But this is bigger, as Lambo's gonna get a huge pick of Big Gabe, not even trying to save that base at all. And now Lambo on the defense, if he can hold on to this base, he will find himself in a fantastic position then.
Absolutely. Oh, it's nice for the Marauders to be left behind there a little bit.
GG.
Wow. Yeah, you know, HeRoMaRiNE, can he allow the game to go on like that when he's stuck in this kind of mid-tier comp? Because tanks are good. Like, don't get me wrong, but as soon as Vipers come onto the field with the really upgraded Lurkers, like, you're going to have a really hard time. You have to start doing that little dance where you're sniping an EMP and the Vipers and getting rid of them, actually turning it into a fair fight. Because when you can pounce with all the Lurkers and stop the tanks from doing anything, that's when you have a really rough time as the Terran.
Yeah, definitely. It's sinking in now, Ben. I mean, just how action-packed that game was from start to finish. I mean, both players making uncharacteristic mistakes, but that's because, I mean, if we look at just how much we've been commentating, it's just non-stop action, right? Like, there was stuff going on the entire game. And so, yeah, lovely to see there. I mean, HeRoMaRiNE not really floating his base towards the end there, or floating that other orbital to kind of like get some more real estate to make stuff happen. But if you look at the side of Lambo, I mean, the creep spread wasn't fantastic either, and it's just because there's skirmishes happening all the time in that game. Yeah,
they were both... That's what they did both really well. They were always looking for 2 things to do at once, at least.
Yeah.
And you could see them both trying to make life as hard as possible for your opposition, that's really good StarCraft. I am curious, though, because even though Gabe is... I do know him as a 3-base Terran. Like, once he's on 3 base, that's when he's comfortable. But the fact that, yeah, he didn't transition to Ghost as quickly and kind of went for this bruiser army. It felt a bit like watching Beyond play TVZ in a way, where he just kind of sticks to that comp. But I really feel that a map like Romanticide, which is the third map, this is where if you go late game, you have to commit to late game. Ghost, Liberator range, nukes, the full Monty, you know. I'm looking forward to this one between these two now. And I have been all day, actually. I've been so excited about this match.
Yeah. This should be amazing. In the top left-hand side of the map for the Shopify Rebellion, it is the King, Lambo.
And spotting over in the bottom right, playing for Mousesports, it is the Gatekeeper.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Ben, but that was, I mean, we kind of like, we could question almost like HeRoMaRinE, like why did you do that game 2? But game 1, it worked out, right? Like not the exact same thing, but it seems like he's almost reinventing himself as this more aggressive, more high-paced, high-tempo type Terran. And I mean, I can't dislike that, right? It's kind of awesome to see.
When you live... Oh!
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, you talked about reinvention. Here Gabe is, who I would have classed as one of the more like consistent players in Europe, one of the more predictable players in Europe. And here he is with 3 different builds in a row and a CC first. Oh, Gabe.
Wildly different. Wildly
evolution.
Different,
yeah, the evolution of Gabe, man. We're seeing it.
Oh! He's hatching. I mean, it's so beautiful to see because I feel like we see this at the very top of the European players. Like when they kind of start doing this, we saw it in Serral as well, right? Like Serral started kind of like Big Gabe, just being as solid as possible, just kind of playing macro games all the time, going to that late game all the time, and where he can always go back to that and still be one of, if not the best player at that. He also has like some maneuvers that he can fall back on, and we saw it with well, Raynor was always a little bit chaotic, and most of every top Korean player has a lot of range, right? Whereas Big Gabe, Showtime, some of our European hopefuls are just have been historically very macro focused, very much about doing things as best as they can and kind of getting in that groove and going for the macro game every time. And now, I mean, to see Big Gabe cutting some corners and throwing in some crazy aggression and new builds, it's so exciting.
All right, Cats, I got a question for you. If you had to bet, so predictions aside, if you had to guess who was going to win this particular game, who would you go with? Given what we've seen already, because
Big Gabe, right? I mean, yeah, like you have to. You have to. He's getting away with murder a little bit. He's going for the greedier build after doing 2 aggressive builds in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if Lambo goes for something like Overlord Speed again. If Big Gabe is already in his head, right? If he tries to play it safe again and then gets surprised by the fact that, yeah, Big Gabe's maybe at that point on 3 CCs and like I said, getting away with murder. So, what about you?
I mean, so I'm already regretting my decision of 2-0 Gabe because I'm obviously wrong. I'm actually starting to think Lambo, man. Like, I wish I went with 2-1 Lambo. Yeah, I went with it first time and I was like, no, this is wrong. It's got to be wrong. Like, it's going to be 2-0 Gabe. But yeah, I just... That game 2K atmosphere, that went the distance. And I did feel that Gabe not doing the ghost stuff early enough really bit him in the butt, which makes me think he's not super confident at it right now. Whereas Lambo, he was like, put me in, coach, put me in. Just went to that late game, got the Vipers, got the Lurkers, and really went ham. But I like HeRoMaRinE here, he might do some like weird, funky, I don't know what he's actually going to do. He could go into anything from here, even mech, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I mean, yeah, Ben, I'm with you. But at the same time, I feel like Lambo, I don't know if, like, it's difficult to call it luck. I think it's a mix, but he had the perfect units to answer the army of Big Gabe last time around. Like, you talked about how Big Gabe already had a lot of Marauders, and I didn't hate it. When I saw a lot of Marauders, and I thought, oh, Lurkers, and Big Gabe already has this Marauder count, maybe he can overwhelm. And I feel like that's what he felt like, right? Like, he wanted to keep the pace, the tempo up. And then, unluckily for him, I mean, they were, like you were saying, playing on 2 fronts. And Lambo just kind of split his army perfectly, where he actually had the Lurkers on offense and mostly just Link Bane on defense. Usually, a lot of the time, it's the opposite way around for Zerg. And if the Lurkers are on defense at that point in time, and Big Gabe pushes on with those Marauders, I could see the game ending, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to blame him as well for being like, yeah, like the ghosts were late, but he was definitely looking to a different approach to kind of snowball and yeah, play the tempo game.
Yeah, I don't blame it at all. I mean, when you see Terrans like Maru doing so well, bringing back 2-on-1 against Serral, who, you know, we 3-0'd him at Asus, and it's like, oh, he does that and wins? Like, Serral beats me every time. Like, it's one of these situations. And Clem, obviously, you can't forget Clem. Like, just plays at such a in-your-face style. And Clem this series, even though he went for that third CC, you can definitely tell that he's definitely playing quicker than normal and more aggressive than normal as well.
For sure. And even if we don't see him win this series, I mean, all props to him. I really love it because, you know, like, you're not going to be the best in the world at something that you're starting to do, but you have to start at some point if you want to be the best in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And this Liberator goes unchecked, actually. And look, the Liberator's over here. 5 drones. And there's a Viking at the top of the map as well. Scoots this Liberator around. I mean, okay, I might say Gabe again.
This Viking's also being annoying. That means the Queen of the Main can't quite help to answer the Liberator right away. Instead, it's the Queen of the Natural that goes up the ramp. The Hellions are moving in through the third and trying to find some damage, but good creep threat from Lambo, who started breaking those rocks as early as he could. He hasn't quite finished yet. Lost a little bit of mining time at that natural base. Gabe has done a very good job with the Viking as well to kind of just deny vision and keep Lambo guessing a little bit as he now takes down his third base. Is that late? Is that early enough?
Which Gabe's third base?
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Right? If I'm looking at the work account, I'm like, okay, can't fully saturate or anything, so it's pretty okay. I'm scared for Lambo, though, because he's currently supply blocked with no Overlord on the way. And that's a scary attack coming, man. That's a good bunch of Marines. 1-1's finishing soon as well. He's still supply blocked, man. There's no Overlord.
Oh, man. Oh, two in production. I mean, now you would call for the 5 that he was making last game. 3 in production, now 1 more being added. Banelings are going to have to be morphed because you have to make something happen. I mean, with your money, this base no doubt will have to be cancelled. On the other side of the map, I mean, there have been no attempts to reclaim airspace from Lambo. Not that he can do much about that. So Gabe always has the possibility to load up a few medevacs and go into the main as well to further complicate things for the German Zerg. And mind you, there's not even creep spread connecting the main and the natural base. So Lambo in a little bit of trouble already.
Yeah, and Baneling speed isn't finished for this as well. And it's 1-1 bio, man. Like, look at this. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be able to dive on creep while the army's there taking out good units. And that supply lead that HeRoMaRiNE's got, that's quality supply as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that HeRoMaRiNE has just not moved that Viking from that area. He had just picked off another Overlord, right? If you're the Zerg, you're paranoid. You want to reclaim that airspace. And this is exactly what I was talking about. HeRoMaRiNE is going to use finally that airspace. He's going to send the 2 medevacs that I was talking about to the main and cause further chaos. I mean, and Lambo's not going to see it coming because that Viking has been parked there the entire game. Nasty good from Gabe.
Yeah, this is like when they talk about chess players thinking 20 moves ahead. That Viking is 20 moves ahead. Okay, Lambo with a good pounce on here, getting some okay connections. But will he get the full cleanup? I mean, Big Gabe's in the top doing what you talked about. Not even going for the main, by the way, just going for the cancel.
Yeah. Somewhat surprising, but pays off regardless, right? Like, if he's aware of that base, I mean, just getting that cancel is huge in any case. He's just kind of securing the small advantage instead of looking for a kill move. I like it as well. And yeah, I mean, things are looking a little bit dire for Lambo. He's struggling to secure that 4th base. The Hydras will pick off a medevac, and not many will fall in the process. But Big Gabe, I mean, fantastic also. Just kind of containing Lambo, killing that creep, making him a little bit claustrophobic here.
Yeah, beautiful word. I was thinking, like, Gabe is suffocating Lambo right now. I look at Lambo's vision, and I am scared. He is playing his own horror movie against Big Gabe right now. Doesn't know where he's going to attack, and Big Gabe's going to come from everywhere. He's so freaking massive at this point. Wait a minute! Oh, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought, yeah.
Yeah, good split from Lambo there at the very end. And I mean, he needs every one of those moves to kind of try to restabilize. If he can pull off a couple more of those defenses, maybe, like here, the Hydra Bane without links to surround and off of creep are really going to struggle to deal with this bio. Lucky for Lambo, he did not reestablish that base because it would have to be a cancel. And he is focusing his creep efforts on the other side of the map. So I do like that from the German, who's going to use his little creep, what little creep he has here as a launching pad, but without anything to really punish this medevacs or this one medevac. Actually, there's just one medevac, so it's gonna work out. Half of the bio dies.
when you said the German, I was like, which one?
Yeah.
For a second there. But I mean, this game, it is Lambo absolutely holding on. This is a bit Solar-esque where he's kind of getting punished around a little bit. I don't know if you saw that series of him against Clement Asus Origi. It was amazing. Both of them were. But if Lambo can hold on, because he is getting up to Lair and Lurkers, we know how well that works out for Zerg if they can make it. But yeah, Big Gabe, man, he's not slowing down at any point. And expanding along the bottom of the map as well. I love that. It's way closer to where Lambo's expanded.
Yeah, that is a beautiful maneuver here from Big Gabe, who is now situated here with tanks on that low ground. So it's going to be very difficult for Lambo to go down that ramp. Never mind chase the army of Big Gabe, which now is looking to kind of relocate and find a different space. Lambo, I mean, has expanded to the bottom left-hand side of the map. So that base is going to be very, very difficult to take. And again, Big Gabe with a strong positional moves. It was the Viking earlier. Now it's just a little bit of bio situated at the natural third of Lambo, the one that's within his triangle. So he kind of just knows that he has Lambo pinned down, pinned back.
All right. So what are the lifelines for Lambo here? We're looking at it. We've got 3 Vipers already produced here, so they can start sucking up energy. Seismic Spines as well for the Lurkers. That's really good as well. And HeRoMaRinE, it's not as if his economy's been super damn good. He's at 73 SVs, which ain't bad at all, but he's looking to kill Lambo now.
Yeah, Lambo, I mean, his lifeline, he has to overwhelm, I think, Ben, and then I would say go for a base kill on the back of kind of defending perfectly, but that's a planetary fortress. It's anchored by, like, the tank line goes so far back right now for Big Gabe. It's so beautiful, so wonderful. It's looking very, very difficult for the bearded German.
The beardless man. He's going to take it once again by the looks of it. There's just too much of him. Takes out that hatchery as well, which was the 3rd base. And the tank line, he kind of, well, I mean, they're still picking apart the Zerg player here. And look at that production tab, man. 13 Marines at a time, 2 tanks, 2 Liberators. That's a scary army to go up against if you don't have the time to muster your forces together.
Yeah, and again, going for the tank armor. So yeah, we're ultra curious now. Definitely not a misclick or anything like that. But
good
yeah,
for the Liberators and the Medivacs as well, I suppose.
Yeah, very good point. The Liberators, yeah.
But Lambo here, man, like these Lurkers right now, they're your babies. You've only got 5 on the field, which is actually a decent number. But we've got to give Gabe credit, man. Look at that creep spread at the top. Like, it is not even at that triangular third, and we're 12 minutes in. That's because he's been denying it so much. Yeah,
just amazing positional play all game long from Gabe. Kind of mixing his the strengths that we know him for with this far more aggressive Terran playstyle on Romanticide of all maps. This is the map that I would have expected for Big Gabe to sit back for a long while and just kind of do his own thing. No, he's been in the face of his opponent the entire game and now forcing him to submission. An amazing series.